kolegice i kolege, vrijeme nam je za pitanja i odgovore. Hvala vam za aktivnosti u chatu u kojem ste postavljali pitanja. Osvrnut ćemo se na pitanja koja su postavljena u chatu, ali i poziva vas, ako želite, možete i dignuti ruku. Zoom nam omogućava da vam onda i damo priliku da govorite i izravno postavite pitanje. Do tada ja ću krenuti sa pitanjima u chatu. Samo evo trenutak. Prvo pitanje. Koje su prevladavajuće društvene norme i stavovi u Afganistanu prema djeci s teškoćama u razvoju, te kako oni utječu na njihove živote?
Yes, Maida. Can I respond to this question? I think thanks for the question. There are some efforts in providing some specialized services to the children with disabilities. First of all, there is a law has been drafted and also approved by the previous government for supporting children with disabilities. And at the same time, the common and the very important point for service provision to the children with disability is the inclusive service, particularly inclusive education for children. That's very important things. And at the same time, for example, some specialized services, for instance, providing education to the children with hearing problem is sign language and also Braille to the children with visual impairs. That was from my side. John, if you want to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Amar Khilsab. You have highlighted some of the points. However, when it comes to the children with disabilities, there are a lot of issues in Afghanistan. The first thing is that, unfortunately, there is a kind of stigma and misconception or maybe discrimination against these children. Many families, they don't feel comfortable when they have children with disability. They don't feel comfortable to somehow make these children visible. Let them join the public events or even some gatherings and other things. Because some of the thoughts and some of the background stigmas that we have about this culture stigma and others, that they think that it's a sign of misfortune and also it's a sign of kind of sin and misconduct of the family or particularly the mother. That's why there is somehow stigma against the children with disabilities. Unfortunately, because of the economic crisis and other issues, the families also, most of these children with disabilities live in poor families. And those families cannot afford the healthcare services, the regular psychosocial services, medicine, and also other support that these children with disability they need. When it comes to the healthcare service, government organizations and even to the humanitarian actors, we don't have many NGOs or private sectors that they provide services for children with disabilities. For children with that they have difficulties in hearing or in talking, there was a school in the past, and that school is still functional in the current context, but with a lot of challenges. But with other categories of disabilities that we have, like mental retardation and functional disabilities, unfortunately, we don't have many services for them, and some services not available in the country. For example, some children with mental retardation, they need speech therapy, they need regular mental health support, some specific physiotherapy and exercises that they should be provided for the children with the functional and movement or mobility issues. But we don't have that available in the health facilities and other service providers. That's why, unfortunately, the children with disability in Afghanistan face a lot of issues, and we have a quite number of them. Unfortunately, the first reason is that some children has these abilities because of they lost some of their organs, hand, foot, and other body parts due to conflict and explosive ordnance of the war. And we have some other children that they have mental retardation and other disabilities from birth. And those children also, the reason is that the families, they don't have very good nutrition for a pregnant woman, and also the women are very much somehow pressured in the family and very busy with the house chores and serving the family and extended families. They don't have time to rest well, to feed well, and have good nutrition during pregnancy, which cause some of these disabilities, children that they are born with disabilities. So that's the issue. The education services are very limited. The mental health care services are very limited. The healthcare services and medicine are very limited. And we have some poor families that they cannot afford the treatment of these children because they need regular care. They cannot afford that, and some of them, they leave the children on the street. Some of them, they tend to leave the children for the organizations that they are providing support to them. But the government also does not have any proper system for supporting children with disabilities, and the international organizations. But there are some people with goodwill that they are supporting some houses and some organizations, and they are funding that to support these children with disability. Thank you. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you both. We have some more questions. Since conscious the time, I would like to go to all the questions. So let's see how can we make it precise and short. So another question is from the web chat. Thank you for this excellent webinar. Just 2 short questions. First, about bachabazi, how present is still today as the practice? What are the remedies, sanctions within the society? Are there assistance programs for children affected? And second question is, what are perspectives of return? And are there any reintegration programs for children and young adults returnees from abroad to Afghanistan? Thank you.
Thank you, Ivana, for the questions. I will respond, and then maybe my colleague Amar Khelsa will also help with some of the points. Regarding bachabazi, unfortunately, this is a practice which exists in Afghanistan since long time, and it has it somehow roots in some cultural norms or cultural and in some negative customs in the country, and negative cultural practices in the country. Unfortunately, currently, we don't have any support system for these people. However, there are some decrees released by the de facto authorities that they prohibited the bachabazi, and they said that if someone from their own people and their own employees and their own forces or anyone in the community, if they find out that they committed bachabazi, they will be arrested and they will be punished for that. But when it comes to the law enforcement and the enforcement of these decrees, we don't see much progress on that, because in some areas of Afghanistan, this practice is seen very normal, and it is practiced by the community elders, by powerful people in that villages and districts. Some elders and also rich people. So the children and the boys that they are affected, they are in a very vulnerable state. First, a lot of cases are underreported. They don't report that they are affected by these kind of sexual assault and also sexual violence. Even if they report, they will not follow the case because of the fear of the perpetrator and other challenges that we have in the country. And also the law enforcement is not that much strong that it can be, because those people that they are perpetrator of bachabazi, they are mostly very strong people in the communities with the power, with the money, with the influence and relations in the different ranks of the government. So that's why the victims, first, they don't have the courage to report. And if they report, they know that there might be no law enforcement. So only their reputation and also their status in the community will be affected, but they will not have any other support. The other thing is that because of the poverty and the current difficult situation in the country, these victims, they tend to receive some support from the perpetrators, like the economical support, some money to have continue their life. That's why some families and even maybe some children tend to not report this issue or tend to continue the practice just because of the support that they are receiving, which supports the whole family. These are some of the issues that we have right now ongoing. Regarding the integration programs for those people that they are returning to the country, or for those people that they are deported from other countries, we have UNHCR and IOM here in the country. When the families arrive to Afghanistan from neighboring countries or any other country, they provide some cash to them as a reintegration for socio-economic integration. But that's very, very, very minimal amount, and it can only support the family essential expenses for 1 or 2 or even 3 months, but not beyond that. But the main issue is that these people, they don't have any employment opportunity in the countries. It's very difficult, even for those that they are already in the country, the employment opportunities are very limited. So for the returnees and deportees, because they don't have any prior relationships and links in the community level, it's even difficult to find job and to be employed in different professions. However, some of them that they are very skilled migrants, that they studied very well in abroad, or they have some skills that are new in Afghanistan. For those, there is hope in the market and in the private sector. But for others that they may lack the skills and the education, and they didn't acquire any specific skills out of the country, when they come, they will face issues with the employment. And also the context that they will find in Afghanistan, that they find the Afghanistan is difficult because they lived in an open context outside the country, where they had all the freedoms, where they had quality education, quality health care, and other services, and they had practiced the freedom of expression, freedom of press, and all the other things. When they come here, they are traumatized by the challenges they have here. There is no freedom of expression or press, and also no quality life. So the lifestyle is very different. The lifestyle in other countries and the lifestyle in Afghanistan. In big cities and urban areas, we have some opportunities, but in rural areas, we don't have any kind of opportunities for quality lifestyle that they already experienced in other countries. So these are some of the challenges. Unfortunately, the integration programs from government side and the reintegration program from international and humanitarian aid provider is very limited. In some cases, they can support very basic services, livelihood programs, vocational training programs, small business startups for some of these children. But when it comes to proper long-term support to the family, particularly for the adults, the space is very limited and shrink. Over to my colleague if he want to add something. Thank you.
Thanks for the sake of the time. I think you responded very, very comprehensively. Thank you.
Thank you both. The next question is, are there any data on suicide rates in Afghanistan? And are there any differences in those suicide rates between the gender, between women and men?
There is no specific data because there are some underreported cases of the suicide. However, under the MRM, like monitoring and response mechanism, we are receiving some reports from the field, and we are verifying that reports, and we are trying to adjust our program in order to minimize suicides in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, and I am aware that you mentioned it, are women allowed to go out alone from the house, from her home?
Thank you, Ivana, for that question. Unfortunately, right now we have a lot of restrictions on women in Afghanistan. Even going out alone, if it is in near distance of the home, there is no issue, like for going to a shop near to the house, or going to a bakery near to the house, or going to a house of the relative. There is no specific challenge. They can go alone, considering the dress code, which is a hijab, that they should have full hijab and covered very well. But if they travel, there was a decree from de facto authorities that they mentioned that every woman that she travel more than around, I think it was 45 kilometers, maybe my colleague also can correct me, around 45 kilometers far from their house, they need to have a mahram. Which means that they should have a male a companion. Even a woman is not considered mahram for another woman, or a child is not considered mahram for his mother, because they think that the mahram should be an adult person, and a male adult a companion is known as a mahram based on the different definitions, Sharia, and based on the Sharia law, and different definitions of the de facto authorities. So, if the distance is not very a lot, then she can travel. But if there is a lot of distance, then she cannot travel. But the context is very different. There are some provinces, as I mentioned during the presentation, there are some provinces, even the health workers, female health workers, are required that they should bring mahram with them, to have mahram with them for full day when they are in the job, in a health facility or somewhere. And when it comes to other areas like the Central Highland and the Kabul, there are a little bit of flexibility in some of these rules and some of these decrees that they are released. And related, I wanted to highlight one point related to suicide also. However, we don't have any specific data. Unfortunately, these cases are also not very much recorded in the health facilities and in the health sector. But some of the reports from UN Women and some other organization shows that the suicide between women increased in the past years. And the reason for that was the ban on education, and also ban on work and employment for women, and also because women are totally banned from any activity. Right, we don't have right now. Women cannot go openly to the parks, to the gatherings and events in the public, and also they cannot go to the gym. We used to have gyms, swimming pools for women in the past, but we have none of them now. Even the beauty parlors that women had some access in the past, now that are also restricted. So all these restrictions, the social life of the women, the gatherings of women, and their social lives and practices are very severely affected. That's why there has been some increase in suicide cases between adolescent girls, that they are are banned from education and from among women. And other reports also show that the gender-based violence and domestic violence also increased during after Taliban took over in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Madina. There is a connected question. So in addition, maybe you can provide some advices if a woman wants to go for a tourist visit to Afghanistan. Is she allowed to walk by herself around, or she also needs a man present?
A very interesting question. We had a lot of tourists and visitors, foreign visitors, during this time because, however, there are challenges, but some areas are now accessible. We don't have active conflict in those areas that like the national parks and other areas that they are. It's very secure now to go there and visit them. We had international tourists. I personally myself, I followed some of them in social media, and also they posted some videos in YouTube from their travels. But when I see them, they follow the dress code. They have the hijab, and in most cases, they have a national male from Afghanistan with them, national male colleagues from Afghanistan as an interpreter and also someone to guide them, a travel guide in Afghanistan. So they don't have any man from their family with them because international women are not required to have mahram. And even international women, they are not required to have hijab, but because of the respect to the rules and respect to the culture, it's good to have hijab in Afghanistan. However, these women, they didn't have any companion from their own family, but they had some national male companions inside the country as travel guide and interpreters. Maybe Margel would like to add something. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you mentioned very rightly, the rule is for women either from the country or foreigner. So mahram remains the same for both. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, and it's a comment, that we have a lot of children, boys who are arriving from Afghanistan. Often they are unaccompanied and separated children. But the question is, where are the girls, minors, and are they trying to also leave Afghanistan since their position are very specific due to education and everything that you mentioned? So the question is, are girls also trying to leave Afghanistan, considering all those pull factors to Europe?
Thank you for the question, Ivana. The reason that we have big number of boys and as unaccompanied separated children that they are migrating to Europe because we don't have restrictions on boys to travel alone. But we have restrictions on girls. The girls cannot travel alone, even inside the country and outside the country. Apart from the restrictions that are imposed by de facto authorities, based on the cultural and the religious beliefs, also the families don't leave their daughters, the adolescent girls and the teenage girls to travel alone inside the country or outside the country. So that is the reason that we don't have much unaccompanied minors, girls unaccompanied minors. Even now in Afghanistan, that UNICEF is providing support to unaccompanied separated children and also deportee and returnees, deportee and returnee children in borders and here in Kabul airport. We don't receive many girls among these children. The number is very limited. We receive thousands of boys, but the girls only 1, 2, 3 per month, or even not per month. Even in the last year, we had very limited number of girls. That girls also, they had their families with them in Iran or in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia, but the reason is that they were somehow separated from that family and then they were deported here to Afghanistan. The number of unaccompanied minors is very limited. If the girls want to travel to out of the country and migrate, the only option for them is to travel with their family or to get married with someone who is out of the country. Amar Khilsep, over to you.
Thank you. Just recently, there was a case that some of the girls, they received scholarship from Qatar, and they issued a visa and also the ticket, but unfortunately, since they didn't have any mahram, they didn't allow, they provide permission to go to Qatar also. And the other example is if, for example, if there's a woman, she's married with someone out of the country, and for example, the man is, for example, a resident of other country, and try to invite his wife from Afghanistan, so it is, there are some flexibilities. For example, the women can go to the airport one day in advance and communicate the issue, present the relevant documents, including the marriage certificate showing that my husband is living in this country, and then they contact the man through video call and confirm and verify the identity and allow the woman to go to that country. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have two comments that are connected, so I'm going to read them together. I think that is similar questions. So the first one is, thank you for your excellent presentations. You've truly brought Afghan culture and the current situation to life for us. What advice or guidelines do you have for service providers on the best ways to support Afghan families while they are in Croatia? And the second comment and question is similar. Considering the cultural and gender norms, as well as potential sensitivities in communication styles, particularly between men and women, what guidance would you offer to professionals in Croatia when engaging with individuals from Afghanistan? For example, should they aim to provide cultural orientation for Afghan refugees while also remaining open to learning and adapting themselves? To what extent should traditional norms be acknowledged, respected, or gently challenged in such interactions?
I think that's a very, very interesting question. The first point I want to point out is there's no specific guideline for this kind of particular issues, but there are some lessons learned. For example, we have some cases of children in Qatar, and we supported the service providers in family tracing, and we try to identify the family within the country and then reunify the child. And at the same time, given the cultural sensitivity of Afghans, we highly appreciate if Croatian colleagues, female colleagues, can talk to the female members of the family, and male can talk to the male families. That's very important. And at the same time, there might be some cultural sensitivities and important points in Croatia, and if Croatian colleagues can present in a very brief to ensure that there might be also some very important points that they should take care. For example, in one of the countries, Afghan refugees, they didn't know that there is a nearest forest, and there are some mushrooms, poison mushrooms, and children move there and eat that poison mushrooms, and then they even passed away. So there are some key points that Afghan refugees to take care of. So that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Just to add some of the points, Ivana, however, my colleague explained very well. The first point, that how we can support these migrants. I think the first thing is that now our colleagues have information about the Afghanistan situation, the routes of migration that these people are going through, the traumas inside the country, that the years of conflict, crisis, and other issues that we faced, the difficult routes for migration, they long stay in different neighboring and other countries, and then a lot of issues that they are facing. So the first thing is that you might be dealing with some children and families that they are very traumatized, and the first thing that they will need a lot is to be understood and also to be provided with a mental health and required mental health and psychosocial support, because we don't have these specialized mental health and psychosocial support in the country. So they may carry some traumas and some fears with them, which will need to be addressed by the psychiatrists and also psychosocial counselors and the healthcare providers. This is the one thing. The other thing is, I think the deprivations that they have. Afghans, particularly women and girls, and also even the boys, they have been deprived of basic freedoms and rights in the country. Maybe when they go there and they see the people with the freedom and also different practices, they may have some cultural shock, and they may need some time to adjust and also to learn some of these skills. So I think it will require a lot of patience and some time in order to address this cultural shock, and also in order to help them to adjust themselves, learn about Croatian culture and European culture. Of course, one of in the questions it was mentioned, of course, the orientation sessions and some similar programs about Croatian culture and the social norms, the positive practices practiced by people in Croatia, I think it will be very helpful. And regarding the sensitivities, I think we explained during the presentation as well, there are some sensitivities, particularly in dealing with women, like the shaking their hands, being with an Afghan woman alone in a room. For a male, Croatian service provider might be not deemed very appropriate by the family and the community members. So that's why these things can be considered. However, there is no restriction for female service providers. Females can shake their hands, they can have eye contact, they can be alone in a room with the women and adults and girls. So we don't have much restriction on that. But I think it will require some time, but the data and also the lessons learned and the experience shows that after the Afghans adapt to the culture of the country, they become very good citizens for those countries and try to obey the rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Madina. Thank you, Amirkel. We don't have any more questions. Now I'm going to... we have another question. I'm sorry, that just popped up in the chat. So the question is, what are the most valuable skills and knowledge to equip unaccompanied Afghan adolescents with should they return to Afghanistan? So what are the most valuable skills and knowledge to equip unaccompanied Afghan children?
If we get the question right, so I think first of all, they, as Manirajan mentioned, they are deprived of the basic services whenever they are in a host country. So helping them to provide them like basic education and basic health, and also, for example, there might be some health issues or immunization or vaccination. It's also very important to provide for that children, and there might be also some families or some relatives of that unaccompanied children. If they are like children and they don't have any family members in the host country, it's highly recommended to contact the host, the regional country, to start the process of the reintegration. So we have that experience. Currently, we have a kind of letter of collaboration with IOM. Some children are deported children coming through, or unaccompanied children coming to Kabul airport. And we have a very systematized program to reunify unaccompanied children back to their families. Thank you. Madinajan, if you want to add.
Thank you, Markhil Seb. You explained well. I have the experience of working with Afghan unaccompanied and separated children in Doha, Qatar, while they were evacuated during evacuation process from Afghanistan. We had a big number of hundreds of children there, and UNICEF, in collaboration with Qatar Charity, Foreign Ministry of the Qatar, IOM, and UNHCR worked closely. And one of the things that we found is that most of these children that they were evacuated, they had families in other countries, in European countries, in USA, and also in Canada, which was a source of opportunity for us, because we couldn't return these countries in that difficult situation again to Afghanistan. So what we did, that UNICEF lead the case management process, the family tracing and reunification process, and supported these children to reach those families and relatives that they are in different parts of the world. The other thing that it was a good practice in that time, they were oriented about how to live alone. There was some information for them, some sessions for them, because now they were unaccompanied and they didn't have any caregiver, their parents or other adult caregiver. So we found that it was very effective to train them and provide them information about some basic skills that how they can live alone. Just imagine some children aged 12, even 10 or 11, that they are unaccompanied and they don't have any parent and adult caregiver, and they are suddenly separated from their family. There is a lot of trauma, a lot of fear, a lot of phobia with them, associated with them. So the first thing is psychosocial support, some information and sessions for them that how to live alone, how to overcome that situation and overcome that challenge, and then to find some peers for them between the group of the children that they're already there. The children of the same age, that they can be friends together, they can pair with each other, and they can support each other emotionally. The other thing was that however, the time was very short period, and only they were tend to stay there for 3 months or maximum 6 months. But we used that time to provide some English courses for them, and also some computer skills, how to use internet in the mobile phone, how to use computers to connect with their families in Afghanistan or in other countries that they were going to reunite with them and reunify with them. So these English skills helped a lot. We had some children, they were going to the European countries, for example, Germany, Finland, and other countries. And they requested that if it's possible to provide us with some German classes or French classes. However, the number was limited, but we had some opportunities for them to learn that language. This is something that I would like to share from my experience. But for those children that to come back to Afghanistan, what skills they should have. I think right now in the current context of Afghanistan that we have a lot of issues and quality issues in the education system. The English, technology, ICT, computer related knowledge and skills are very much welcomed. And the other thing is that we know that the education systems are different in Afghanistan and in Croatia, and I'm sure that it's a very high quality program in Croatia. So I think the education system there will help them a lot to have something to offer in Afghanistan in case they are return to the country. But I would suggest that there should be some investments on these skill acquirement for them, because most of them, when they return, the biggest challenge they face is that they don't have any skills and they don't have any relations in the community level for employment and for working. So investing on the skills and particularly ICT, English, and foreign language helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you for this comprehensive presentation, and thank you for the answers provided. It was really interesting, and I am conscious and aware of time. So, colleagues, thank you for dedicated time today to present about your country. It was really interesting, enriching. We now better understand the context, geopolitical, cultural context, but also I would say that some of the data provided and information on children, on situation on children and women were really shocking, were really eye-opening and really interesting. So thank you for today. I'm going to switch to Croatian just to thank our participants. So please be patient a bit more. Dragi suradnici i suradnice, kolegice i kolege, puno vam hvala na vašem sudjelovanju na ovom webinaru. Po broju sudionika rekla bih unatoč vremenu kojem smo posvetili ovom webinaru da vam je bilo zanimljivo, a i po pitanjima da vam je bilo korisno. Nadam se da ovaj webinar će poslužiti i vašem boljem razumijevanju u daljnjem radu i pružanju podršci i djeci bez pratnje koje nam dolaze iz Afganistana i obitelji koje dolaze u Hrvatsku. Podijelit ćemo s vama putem maila informaciju o mjestima na kojima ćemo objaviti prezentaciju, tako da će vam biti dostupna u budućnosti, kao i vašim kolegicama i kolegama koji nisu mogli sudjelovati na ovom današnjem webinaru. Također obavijestit ćemo vas kada dođe vrijeme i o sljedećem webinaru koji planiramo održati. I ovim putem bih se zahvalila i našim prevoditeljicama na strpljivosti i posvećenom vremenu da zaista izvrsno prevode sa engleskog na hrvatski i sa hrvatskog na engleski jezik. Ugodan dan svima. Amar Khail Medina, thank you again. Have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you, Ivana and colleagues. Thank you very much for your cooperation and also for your participation. I hope you find this webinar very useful. We learned a lot from the colleagues in Croatia office, and I hope you learned also from this webinar and presentation. Wish you a very great rest of the day, and thank you very much for supporting Afghan migrants and unaccompanied separated children in your country. Thank you very much for all your support. Have a great time.
Thank you, Croatia office. Thank you so much for your participation and support. Hvala vam. Thank you.
Oh, excellent, excellent Croatian. Thank you again. Have a nice day. Bye.